Welcome to the Limit Free Life Show. I'm Michelle Perkins, your host. I bring you tips, advice, and guest stories about creating work you love. Whatever type of career or business you have or want, I want to help you find more meaning, money, and happiness. Now we are live from Hollywood. Hello, and welcome to the Limit Free Life Show. I'm Michelle Perkins, your host. And we are here. It's Wednesday, 1 o'clock. So we are here at ubngo.com. We're also streaming to the Limit Free Life Facebook page and my YouTube page. And we'll be on iTunes and some other podcast platforms afterwards. So glad to have you here today. I'm going to do a solo show, just me today. I've been traveling. I got back late last night, and I want to talk about a few things. I'm just going to have a conversation with you, basically, about some of the things, some of the observations I made, and some of the insights I had while I was away. And the Limit Free Life Show is essentially a show revolving around career transition, business, creating a business that you love, growing a business that you love, and money. So we talk a lot about money mindset, and we talk about what are you doing to make a living and to find fulfillment and purpose in your life, and how can you make that better if you're not happy with what you're doing, if you're out of work for some reason, whatever that is, if you're starting out, if you're starting a new chapter. So in today's world, people start many careers, and it's not a one-shot deal anymore. And so my work is dedicated to helping people to just keep broadening what they do for careers. That might be entrepreneurship for some people. For others, it means working in an organization or a company. So a lot of ways to go. No judgment, no right or wrong. It's just whatever works for you. And that's really what I help people figure out, is what does work for you? What is the best choice for you? Not what other people tell you should do, not what other people think is most marketable or makes the most money, none of that. It is all about finding fulfillment, fun, and financial prosperity so you can live the life that you want. And what I have found is the world is much bigger than what you hear about when you're in school and when you're choosing a major in college, for example, and they give you some choices and you don't really know what you would do with them, but you choose one for whatever reason. And it all feels very limited, I feel like, at that stage. And for a lot of people, it feels limited forever. So that's a bummer. That is, not the reality of what's possible, and it's just it's a hard way to live when you're boxed into certain limiting beliefs and ideas of what's possible for you. So I really, I can help you, with your resume and your LinkedIn profile and a lot of things, but what really lights me up is helping you to figure out who you are and what you want, and then to create a path to get there. So really coming up with something that is authentic to you, that gets you excited to wake up every day and go do whatever it is that you're doing for work. And if you find something amazing that you love, it will not feel like work. It'll feel like that thing you want to get up and do every day. And sure, you'll want to take a vacation now and then, and you'll want to take a break, and you'll want to do other things. But going to work will never have that negative connotation and feeling again if you find the right work. So I think it's super important. I'm fascinated by what people choose for work. I love new ideas. I love businesses that are built on amazing, innovative ideas. So all of that just gets me kind of excited. So that's what I do. And that's what I do the show for, is to just help in many ways open your mind. So give you some, break through that box of limitations, and that, chop down some of those walls so that you can see beyond that and have some new ideas. I don't think as a society we do a really great job of helping people be creative in creating careers. It is a creative endeavor to decide and create a career for yourself. And I don't really think we treat it that way. We treat it a little more like a formula. And I think that's a mistake. And so I do have a lot of guests come on the show to talk about what they do, because oftentimes I find people out there in the world who are doing amazing things, and they're not the things that you would hear about when you're in school, or you wouldn't hear about them from your friends. They're creations of people's, and they've built careers around these things. So really, really fun for me to find those people out in the world, and there are so many of them. Once you get older and you see what people are doing, I just wish that you could have that whole, those insights when you're younger. So anyway, I did some traveling last week, and I hadn't traveled in a while, which is weird because I love to travel and I usually do a lot of it. But last year was just a year that was pretty much, I don't know, I had a lot of responsibility and I had things that I was doing, so I was pretty focused and I wasn't traveling. So I went to a couple of places, and it really, really reminded me, of how important travel is for instigating creativity and for helping you to see what's possible out there, because you forget when you're in your bubble and you're doing your thing, and you forget how differently people live, for one thing, and how you do create these lives. And so if you start feeling like you have to do certain things, and you get away and you go some other places and you see, wow, people are living very differently and very happily in different situations, because you also start forgetting that there are other ways. I'm a big one for always saying, oh my gosh, California is the only place I would ever live. I lived a lot of places, but I had lived here when I was younger, and I always wanted to come back. And I've just had this belief that California is just where it's the only place for me. And and I still love California, but I got out of California for a little bit, and I saw, not really like on so much of a vacation, more of a visiting trip. I was visiting people. And so you really got a firsthand picture of how people are living in other places. And it was a good little reminder that, oh yeah, other places are cool and other lifestyles are cool. And so it really made me think about how important it is, again, to get creative and to really figure out the lifestyle you want. So, when you're thinking about your career, you can also box yourself into thinking you need to be in a certain place. You can box yourself into thinking you need certain things, certain ways of living, certain places, to live in, whether that's a house or an apartment or whatever. And you can go down a lot of roads of thinking, well, the only place I can do this, the only place I can be in entertainment is if I'm in LA or New York. The only place that I can have a big house is if I live outside of LA or New York. There's all this weird thinking that we do. And I just really liked the reminder that none of that is actually true. So I wanted to talk a little about some of the things that I recognized when I was doing this. Lifestyle is really important, and how you want to live is very specific to you. So I saw some very different lifestyles. I went to go visit my son, who is in a 6th floor walk up in the Lower East Side of New York, and very tiny apartment, old apartment, no amenities. There's no garbage disposal or dishwasher or, air conditioning, none of that, and no elevator. So, it's an interesting life because it's a little harder, and where he lives is small, but it's in a very cool neighborhood, and he couldn't love it anymore. I think if you gave him a whole bundle of money, and I think he would still choose to live there. He loves it. And it's a lifestyle. So he's able to walk to work. He does some creative things, and he's able to do those in his apartment. He's able to, it's funny because you realize that there are higher expenses in some areas and lower expenses in others. And so it really made me think, if you're going to choose a place to live and you think, oh, it's so expensive to live in New York. Well, it is, no question about that. But you really have to look at the entire picture. And I love the money conversation because people have very specific money mindsets about things. And so they'll just say, no, this is too expensive. But what they're really referring to is real estate. It's expensive to get an apartment, or it's ridiculous to buy a house. But there are all these offsets too. So I really got in touch with how important it is to figure out what matters to you. What lifestyle do you want? Are you okay with a tiny apartment? Is that going to be enough? Are you okay with taking the train? Are you okay with being able to walk to work? There are so many things that you can ask yourself, and if you are okay with those things, depending on what you want your lifestyle to be, you can make any place work, and there is a lot of work there. Obviously, it's a big city, and I just thought it was really fascinating because I went from New York and visiting my son in this, tiny little apartment to going to Nashville, Tennessee to see some friends, which was honestly the polar opposite lifestyle. So, I mean, I hadn't been there before, and it was the homes were beautiful. Every house was on like an acre of land. There was so much land, so much woods, so much green, and just these, monster homes compared to what you would have, for example, in LA or New York. And so I was really paying attention to the decisions people make around money and around lifestyle, and how many different ways that you can live, and also how you can do these things at different times. So, it really plays into the idea of having a limit-free life, which is an idea that I really value, and the choices that you can make and the different ways that you have an opportunity, to live in different ways. And so I thought it's really important to sit down and reflect on what it is you want at these different points in your life too, because, my son is obviously young, he's starting out, and so he is living, this is really a quote from him. He's in the exact place he wants to be right now, the exact place he feels he should be to do what he's trying to do. And, but he's at a certain stage in his life. He's 19, he's starting out. So, and then my friends who are in Nashville have a couple of kids who are now older, but they moved there when the kids were in school. Their schools are amazing. You can get this beautiful, enormous house in these beautiful neighborhoods. It's quieter, it's slower, it's a little, it's safe. It's got all kinds of wonderful things going for it for families. And so I thought, I wonder how strategic and how conscious people are being in their lives about really, you look at the work you want, you look at, how expensive it maybe is. Usually when we think, when we think of a big expense of our lives, it's usually housing. So sometimes we either gravitate toward or turn away from a place based solely on housing. How much is an apartment, how much is a house in that area, and we don't really look at everything. And I thought it's so much more complicated than that. And if you really sat down with a pad of paper and looked at all the pluses and minuses in terms of cost, you can really create the financial scenario you want as well, depending on how you create your lifestyle. So again, very creative endeavor. So I really feel like you can almost live anywhere if you can play around with the different variables of your life. And some of the things that I think were really interesting that I noticed, how much green space. I mean, when I was in Tennessee, you could just breathe. There was so much green, and it was, you just were always in the trees and always looking at green. And when I was in New York, I noticed that the way to relax and kind of get out of the noise and the busyness was actually to go in a building. So you go in a gym, for example, and suddenly it's, at least the gym that I went in was quiet and kind of serene and had plants. And so you kind of would, I'm used to going outside to relax and to, get in touch with nature. And I could see where in New York, you almost wanted to go inside somewhere just to get off the street and be away from it. So, how much nature and green space is important to you? What do you need your interior space to be? Because if you feel that you need a lot of space around you and you do want a bigger house, that's one decision. And if your interior space can be really, really small, that's a whole different lifestyle decision. Walkability. Obviously in New York, you walk everywhere, which I love. And 24 hours a day, there are places you can walk to and go. And so that is really, really fun. Other places, not Nashville wasn't like that. You couldn't really, unless you were in the town, you were somewhere in a house and you needed to get in your car, a lot like LA, actually, parts of LA. Culture, obviously there was a culture in both, but very different cultures. a sense of peace, calm. I know for my son, he likes being in New York because he feels very productive there. And I heard so many people on the street talking about that, how they couldn't sleep. They just were, go every minute. They were so productive. And they actually wanted to get out of New York sometimes just to calm down. But while they were there, they were just getting things done and they were making, things happen. And so there's just this kind of energy and sense of making things happen there. And I know people are making things happen in Nashville, obviously. I know really successful people there, but there was this sense of just, calm and slowness there that was almost the complete opposite. How much excitement do you want? What do you want to find in terms of schools? If you have kids, we were also watching the kids, get off the bus and go through the streets of New York, and then the same, in a very different way in Tennessee, where they have these very big, beautiful new schools that have everything. And it was just so interesting to contemplate, growing up in New York or growing up in Tennessee and the differences there. So I found the whole thing to be very interesting. And I also was really wondering, how deliberate are people when they make these decisions? Usually you make a decision maybe to move somewhere because of a job, or you make a decision, for maybe a single reason to do something. And I was really struck by how much more complex it is and how many factors should go into making that decision, because you can do so much with in any place. And so how are you looking at all of those variables, and how are you really creating a lifestyle that you want as well as work that you want? So when we talk about building a career or something, work that you want, you're also creating a lifestyle, and which really even comes first. Maybe you decide on the lifestyle that you want, and then you find your work in that place, or you create that business in that place. So again, it really comes down to freedom, and having the freedom to think it through, and think through all the complexities of it and all the different variables. And really, it's a hard decision, actually, because I found, and of course, I love where I am in California for many, many reasons. And so, I was actually just going back and forth with my girlfriend about, possible next moves and how you would make a decision. And there are so many, we're fortunate. There are so many wonderful ways to live in this country. And so, and in others. And I just think it's really important to spend a little time and really getting to know yourself, not only your skills and talents and, how you want to build a career, but knowing yourself in terms of what type of lifestyle you want. And where are you? What stage are you in? Are you at the beginning? Are you, when you're young and maybe a city kind of life with a lot of activity and excitement and the ability to walk and everything is perfect. And also from a money standpoint, because it was interesting too, the financial needs that you have at these different stages of life. So say you have, the young period where you're, just out of school, or, you're starting out, and you have that decade where you can kind of do whatever you want. You don't have a lot of responsibilities. You might not have a lot of money, but again, my eyes really opened up to the fact that you don't need a lot of money. You need to be able to determine the lifestyle you want. You could have a really good lifestyle with less money if you're okay with those things. And so, there's the period when you're young, which is a great period to focus on earning, to focus on creating the career and getting clear and trying different things and seeing what you like, and also learning something about finances, maybe saving a little bit. It's a good opportunity really to just kind of start building a bit of a foundation, but even more so to build an understanding of what you want to do, what you like, what kind of lifestyle you want. And then there's sort of the more, you settle in, you kind of are on a path maybe, and you can get into kind of some prime earning years where you're really focused on putting money away, starting some investments, thinking about saving for whatever it is that you want to save for, whether that's a house or retirement or whatever. And that's you can create a kind of a lifestyle around being able to do that. And then you got the family years where, you might have a totally different lifestyle needs. Maybe then you do want a house. Maybe then, you're focused on saving for education, saving for different things, spending money on different things. And then, maybe you are looking at that point for that place that has the best schools or whatever it is. And then after that, maybe you're post kids and you're starting a whole new chapter, and maybe your lifestyle needs completely change. So I sort of started to see it in 4 or 5, different, almost like decades, and each one with its own lifestyle, and each one with its own variable financial priorities. So I think it's kind of interesting to look at your life that way and to create the freedom around that, to be able to pick up and move, to be able to choose completely new lifestyles for different needs. And maybe that means new careers along with it, or maybe the career can go with you as you change your lifestyle. But I thought the ultimate point of all this is, if you really do want to live a limit-free life, if freedom is really of value to you, then thinking through these different stages, thinking through how you manage money in the different stages and what your focus needs to be. Of course, with saving and investing, the earlier you start, the better. So that's, always something to think about. And those ideas would filter through each of those different stages. But, and to be really open to new lifestyles, to try some different things and see what you can create for yourself depending on what matters to you in those different times. So that's really what I wanted to talk about today. I thought it was just a really interesting kind of an expansion on the whole idea of freedom. So, and an expansion on the idea of you can make new decisions at different times. And, your life changes, life evolves, new people are part of your life, maybe new career endeavors. And just to be really open to the idea of change, and to be open to the idea of transitioning into a new phase, into a new lifestyle, and to just think about all of those things, because it is so different out there. There are so many options and so many interesting possibilities and so many different things to try. And so I would say just don't be afraid. I would say go for it, write these things down, think about lifestyle, think about lifestyles maybe you've never tried, but you've wanted to try. And what does that mean? What does that mean financially? What does that mean in terms of geographic location? So I just found the whole thing to be eye-opening in the sense of getting rid of limitations and barriers and opening your mind to some new things. And I think mindset is everything. And, to not have that belief that, I can only do this in these places, or the only, place I'm comfortable in is this because I know it, or, yeah. So anyway, I guess that's my message for today, is just go out there and figure out what lifestyle you want, along with what career you want, and how you want to, tackle the money questions at different stages of your life, and get out there and see what's possible. Get out there and see how differently people live, and start making some choices based on some new things that you can discover. So I think that's going to be the show for today. So thank you so much for joining me, and I'd love to hear questions, comments. You can contact me at michelle@limitfreelife.com. I'm available for help with career transition. I'm available to help people get clear on what it is that they want, to help them with their finances, both mindset-wise and some practical challenges that people are facing, and to help you if you want to start a business, which is an amazing thing that you can hopefully do in, pretty much anywhere. So determining your lifestyle and then starting a business can be really an amazing life adventure as well. So you can contact me. My website is limitfreelife.com. You can subscribe to the show on iTunes. and several other places, Spotify, iHeartRadio, some others. So anyway, I love to hear from people. I love to hear what's going on in your life and some of the decisions that you're either having trouble with or making that you're proud of. So connect with me. Let me know what's going on. Ask me questions. I would love to help you with your career decisions. So that's the show for today. Have a great week and hope to see you next week on the Limit Free Life Show. I think one of the most important messages I have to share with the world about the work that I do is that your work is yours to create. This is your piece of art that you can create in your life, and there's really nothing stopping you. Overall, most of us can learn what we need to learn and figure out what we need to figure out and create that fabulous career or business that we dream about. And there's really no reason to think that you can't. My name is Michelle Perkins, and I am the CEO and founder of a company called Limit Free Life. And I help men and women to make dramatic change in their lives so that they can have the fulfillment, fun, and financial prosperity that they have always wanted to find through their work. The main services I offer through Limit Free Life are one-on-one private coaching, group coaching, trainings and seminars, and business consulting. My signature service is one-on-one coaching over a period of time, 3 months, 6 months, even a year. It really allows a person to decide on an outcome that they desire, and then for us to work together to really achieve that outcome in full. The type of clients that I typically work with are professional men and women who are driven to do more, who might be entrepreneurs, but also career professionals who work in organizations who are really looking to do more with their lives and very open to thinking in new ways about what they're doing, and who are willing to take responsibility, do the work, make some changes, and who don't say I can't a whole lot. Clients up-level in a number of ways. For some, they start a business after being in the corporate world. For others, they have an existing business and they really figure out the key and the formula to making that business grow and take off. For some, it's a matter of really developing courage. And for many, it's a matter of up-leveling their view of themselves, what they're capable of, how powerful they are, what their strengths are, and where they can go in life. What I see also is that there's a spark that kind of gets lit, and that flame keeps growing within them, and there are things that they want that maybe they were reluctant to even express that they wanted, and now they just go for it. They have bigger wants and bigger dreams than they had before, and the sense that they can achieve those things. I feel very strongly that money beliefs are foundational to developing a business that can scale and grow and become the business that you want it to be, whatever level of success that is. And for people who feel stuck or their business isn't going the way they want, a lot of times it comes back to some of these money beliefs. So as a certified money mindset coach, I have the training to help people understand where their hidden money beliefs are either interfering in their lives or businesses, or coming into play in some fashion in all the decisions that they're making, both in their business and in their life. The overall mission behind my work is to help people love their work, to find satisfaction, fulfillment, fun, and also to be financially prosperous in what they're doing. That combination to me is a perfect recipe for making work a great part of your life. And so that's my vision, is for people to see work and money as allies in their life and things they can lean on so that they have something that makes them feel important and something that gives them a place to go to develop a sense of identity and purpose and meaning in the world. My greatest hope for my clients is that they will develop a holistic relationship with work, money, and life, and there won't be this separation where they go to work and then they live their life after work, and they will develop work or businesses that they love, that they look forward to going to, and they give them the freedom and the income and the happiness that they're looking for in their life.